Surviving an ice storm requires preparation and the right tools to stay safe and comfortable when extreme weather hits. Power outages, icy roads, and freezing temperatures can disrupt daily life, making it crucial to have essential items on hand. From backup power sources to proper winter gear, these 15 must-haves will help you stay ahead of the storm and avoid unnecessary risks. Don't wait until it's too late. Prepare for a metallic clang as your Sen sword goes off, despite the fact that 70% of the unexpected. If you find this guide helpful, make sure to subscribe for more essential tips and tricks to stay prepared year-round. 1. Portable power bank. Don't kid yourself. When ice storms hit, power outages are almost inevitable, and they can last for days. Sitting in the dark wishing your phone still worked isn't going to help you. A high-capacity portable power bank is not just handy, it's a lifeline. Go big or go home. Get one with at least 200 mAh capacity, so it can keep your devices running for 5-7 days, not just a few hours. Sign up today at portable.com/TonyFeek. Sign up today at portable.com/TonyFeek. Your phone, tablet, or even small emergency lights should stay functional long enough for you to handle the chaos around you. Skip the cheap units, they'll fail when you need them most. Look for a power bank with fast charging capabilities, minimum 18 watts, and multiple output ports, like USB-A and USB-C. These features mean charging multiple devices at once will be easy, and you'll spend less time waiting for your gadgets to power up. Choose one designed for low temperatures because not all batteries perform well in freezing conditions. Do some research before buying. Storing and maintaining the power bank is just as crucial. Keep it fully charged at all times and give it a quick test run every month to make sure it holds power properly. There's nothing worse than realizing your supposed emergency backup is dead when disaster actually strikes. A fully functioning power bank can make all the difference. It keeps your phone alive for critical rescue calls, emergency updates, or just to check the weather conditions. Staying connected can literally save your life. Don't be that person who regrets these things too late. Portable power banks are affordable, your excuses aren't. Buy one now, prep it, and stash it where you can grab it quickly when the skies turn gray. 2. Ice melt and rock salt. If you're not prepared to combat ice, you're asking for trouble. Ice melt or rock salt is an absolute must-have for any ice storm. Slippery surfaces are not just an inconvenience, they're a real hazard. Did you know that fall injuries spike by 300% during ice storms? Don't become a statistic. Regular rock salt is the cheapest option, but it's far from perfect. End C. It only works down to 15 DGF, so if the temps drop lower, and they often do, it's pretty much useless. If you want something that actually works when it's freezing outside, switch to calcium chloride. It's more effective, working in temperatures as low as -25 DGF. Yeah, it's a little pricier, but it won't ruin your driveway or sidewalks like regular rock salt often can. Ha! That's money well spent. Now here's the thing most people screw up with ice melt or rock salt. They store it improperly. Leave it sitting around in a humid garage or a half-open bag, and it turns into a soggy, clumpy mess. Moisture is its worst enemy. Get airtight containers to keep it dry and usable for the long haul. This isn't optional, it's basic common sense. Want to avoid fumbling around in the middle of the storm? Set up an ice melt station now, not when you're dealing with inches of ice. Use a sturdy scoop and get ready ahead of time. Pro tip? Pre-mark the spread pattern on your driveway or walkway so you know exactly where to apply it. That way, you're covered without wasting product during a panic. Bottom line, don't underestimate ice melt. It's one of those things you don't notice until it's too late, and by then you're spinning tires or flat on your back. Spend a few bucks today to save yourself from a world of pain or repair bills tomorrow. Free emergency radio. When the power goes out and your phone dies, you'll wish you had an emergency radio. Cell towers can fail, and without a way to stay informed, you're left completely in the dark, literally and figuratively. This small device can be a lifesaver during an ice storm, delivering critical updates on weather conditions, emergency broadcasts, and evacuation orders. It's not just a nice-to-have, it's non-negotiable. Don't bother with cheap, single-powered radios that die after one use. Go for a dual-powered model, like the Midland ER310. These radios are designed with emergencies in mind. They run on both batteries and manual crank power, giving you more reliability when the grid shuts down. On top of that, the best models come equipped with NOAA weather alerts to keep you ahead of the storm and emergency frequencies to access vital broadcasts. A USB phone charging capability is another feature you'll want, since it can keep your phone alive just long enough to make a critical call or save some important files. Owning a great emergency radio isn't enough. You need to maintain it. Start by using long-lasting lithium batteries. They perform better in extreme cold than standard alkaline ones. And don't forget to test the crank handle monthly. The last thing you want is to discover it's broken when you're in the middle of a crisis. Trust us, you don't want to skip this step. An emergency radio is an investment in your safety. Ice storms can leave you cut off for days, sometimes even weeks, and losing communication during this period is not an option. You'll regret ignoring this advice when the next storm hits and the silence becomes deafening. Grab one now and make sure it's ready to go. The time to prepare is before disaster strikes, not after. 4. Extra prescription medications. If you depend on prescription medications to stay alive or healthy, failure to prepare adequately can be catastrophic during an ice storm. Access to pharmacies might be impossible due to road closures, power outages, or extreme weather conditions, leaving you without essential medications when you need them most. Ice storms do not care about your health schedule. They disrupt entire infrastructures, and if you're not ready, you're out of luck. And just like that, to avoid a life-threatening situation, it is critical to maintain a 30-day backup supply of your medications at all times. Check with your doctor or insurance provider to arrange early refills ahead of bad weather. Many insurance companies have provisions for early refills in emergency situations. You just have to ask. Storage is another key factor. Ice storms often lead to prolonged power outages, leaving your home freezing or at unpredictable temperatures. You must store your meds in a way that protects them from extreme cold or moisture. Use waterproof containers and keep them in a temperature-controlled area if possible. Ideally, medications should be stored between 68 degrees and 77 degrees Fahrenheit (DHF). But read the specific guidelines for your prescriptions and act accordingly. Do not, under any circumstances, dismiss the importance of this preparation. Running out of vital medications like insulin, heart meds, or inhalers could put you in a dire situation very fast, especially when help cannot reach you. There's no excuse not to prepare. This could quite literally save your life. An ice storm doesn't give warnings for when it'll shut everything down, but you have been warned now. Do yourself a favor and be ready. Stock up, store properly, and take action well before disaster strikes. 5. Manual can opener. When the next ice storm knocks out power and you're relying on canned food for survival, a manual can opener is not optional. It's an absolute necessity. Forget about your fancy electric opener because, without electricity, it's nothing more than a paperweight. A solid manual can opener ensures you can actually access the food you've stocked up on, which means not going hungry when the storm shuts everything down. For usability, prioritize a manual can opener with a large turning knob. These are easier to grip and operate, even if you're wearing gloves in freezing temperatures. A great example is the OXO Smooth Edge Opener. It's reliable, easy to use, and durable enough to handle the task every single time. Skimping on quality here can be a mistake. The last thing you need during a crisis is a flimsy opener that breaks or requires superhuman strength to operate. Here's a critical tip you probably haven't thought about. Store the manual can opener with your canned goods. When the power goes out, and you're fumbling around in the dark or digging through drawers while the temperature in your house continues to drop, the last thing you want is a scavenger hunt for your can opener. You'll regret it, and you won't have anyone to blame but yourself. Keep it accessible. This one small step could save you from unnecessary stress when things are already chaotic. An ice storm isn't just cold and inconvenient, it's downright dangerous. Be ready. A manual can opener might not seem like a big deal right now, but when you're stranded, hungry, and cut off from the comforts of modern convenience, you'll thank yourself for having one. It's a low-effort, high-reward prep item, and you'd be foolish to overlook it. Don't wait until disaster strikes to realize how much you needed this simple, effective tool. Get one and make sure it's part of your emergency kit. End of story. 6. Water storage containers. You don't realize how critical water is until you don't have it. During an ice storm, pipes can freeze and burst, cutting off your water supply for days or even weeks. Just look at the 2021 Texas storm. 12 million people lost access to clean water. Don't be one of those stuck boiling snow on a campfire to stay alive. Water storage containers are an absolute must. Here's the deal. You need at least 1 gallon of water per person, per day, period. Don't skimp on this. Plan for a minimum of 7 days of supply. That means if you have a family of 4, you're looking at 28 gallons. Do the math for your household and stock up before disaster strikes. Not all containers are created equal. Milk jugs, forget it. They break down and leak. Go for sturdy 2-liter soda bottles instead. They're durable, seal well, and are easy to store. Fill them up with clean tap water in advance and remember to rotate your supply every 6 months. Yes, it's annoying, but stale water is gross, and you're not going to want to rely on it when things go south. Want some extra insurance? Fill your bathtubs before the storm hits. A standard tub can hold between 8,0,1,0,0 gallons of water. That's a serious backup supply right there. Use it for hygiene or even flushing toilets. Pro tip, invest in a bathtub water liner if you want to keep it clean and safe. Without one, it'll be next to impossible to drink, but it's still invaluable for other needs. No excuses. Water is non-negotiable. When an ice storm knocks out your utilities and supermarkets are stripped bare, this is one prep item you'll be grateful for. Don't bet on, "It won't happen to me." Be ready. 7. Battery-operated carbon monoxide detector. If you don't have a battery-operated carbon monoxide detector in your home, you're playing with fire, literally. Ice storms mean power outages, and outages mean people reach for desperate heating solutions like indoor grills, gas stoves, or even portable generators. Here's the reality check you need. 71% of carbon monoxide DO deaths during storms happen because of non-functioning or absent CO detectors. They're making lives difficult, and the rate of being overpressed is dropping. Carbon monoxide is a silent killer, odorless, tasteless, and completely invisible. And just a few minutes of exposure can be enough to make you pass out or worse. A reliable carbon monoxide detector is your first and best line of defense. Go for one with essential features like a digital display for CO levels, which helps you know when it's time to act, not guess. UL 2034 certification means it meets rigorous safety standards and isn't some knockoff that'll fail when you need it. A low battery LED indicator ensures it's working when you need it most during a power outage. And of course, the alarm will scream at you before CO levels become life-threatening. Placement is just as important as the detector itself. Don't shove it into a random corner and call it a day. Install it wherever people are going to sleep. Every floor of your home should have one, but make sleeping areas a top priority since you're most vulnerable when unconscious. And forget about plugging it into an outlet. Battery-operated models are non-negotiable during an ice storm. Without power, a wall unit is as useful as a rock. Skipping this essential item isn't just careless, it's downright dangerous. Don't wait for the next storm to realize how badly you needed one of these. Spend the money, install it properly, and thank yourself later. It might feel like an extra chore now, but when the next storm hits, this small device could be the one thing keeping you and your family alive. 8. Emergency heat source. When an ice storm knocks out power, temperatures indoors can plummet dangerously fast. If your home drops below 50 DGF, hypothermia becomes a real risk, even if it doesn't feel like it right away. An emergency heat source isn't a luxury, it's survival. You'll regret not having something lined up, and no, candles and body heat are not going to cut it when your house feels like a freezer. Here's the deal. Have a reliable, indoor-safe heat source ready. Propane heaters, like the Mr. Heater Buddy series, are excellent options because they come with built-in oxygen depletion sensors for safety. These devices are specifically designed for indoor use, so don't just grab a random heater and assume it's okay. Carbon monoxide poisoning is just as deadly as the freezing cold. If propane isn't an option, battery-powered ceramic heaters can be a lifesaver for cleaner, emission-free heating. But either way, have something you can use immediately, and waiting until the storm hits to figure it out is a losing gamble. If you think you can just turn it on and you're set, think again. Even with an emergency heater, ventilation is mandatory. Sounds counterintuitive in freezing weather, doesn't it? Well, it's not. You need about 1 square inch of ventilation for every 1,000 BTUs your heater produces to avoid carbon monoxide buildup. Trust me, you can't tough it out against bad air. You won't last long. Finally, learn to conserve heat so your fuel lasts. Blanket off just one room and essentially seal yourself into a small, warm space. Forget trying to heat an entire house during a blackout. It's a waste of precious fuel, and you won't win that fight. The goal here is simple survival, not luxury. Ice storms are unforgiving, and if you don't think ahead, the cold will catch you off guard. Don't be that person, regretting they didn't plan better. An emergency heat source isn't optional. It's the difference between getting through the storm or being overtaken by it. 9. Winter-rated sleeping bag or emergency blanket. You won't survive the next ice storm without proper insulation at night. When temperatures drop to life-threatening levels, a winter-rated sleeping bag or emergency blanket isn't optional, it's survival gear. Think you'll be fine with regular bedding? Think again. Hypothermia doesn't care about your optimism. A sleeping bag rated for 20 DF or lower is your best bet. Estimate: 16 degrees. U.S. Department of Education, 6 stars. Look for materials like Primaloft or Thinsulate that trap heat effectively without adding bulk. These bags are designed to keep you alive, not just cozy. Wool blankets are another solid option. They retain heat even when wet. For the unprepared or those who want to maximize their insulation game, Mylar emergency blankets are worth their weight in gold. Lightweight and reflective, they lock in body heat and work well as an extra layer. Layering these items correctly can mean the difference between getting through the night or freezing to death. Blunt but true. Wrap the Mylar blanket closest to your body. Its reflective surface will capture your body heat efficiently. Then, climb into your sleeping bag and toss a wool blanket over the top for added warmth. This keeps heat trapped in and the cold, biting wind out. Skip any of these layers, and you're gambling with your life. Don't dismiss this as overkill either. Ice storms can knock out power for days, leaving your home and surroundings bitterly cold. Without proper nighttime gear, you'll be in serious trouble. Being cold and miserable is bad enough, but risking frostbite or hypothermia isn't something you can tough out. Anyone who has spent a sub-zero night unprepared will tell you this is the gear they wish they'd packed. 10. Flashlights and LED lights. When the power goes out during an ice storm, you don't want to be fumbling in the dark. Candles might feel nostalgic, but they're a disaster waiting to happen, increasing fire risk by a staggering 300%. That's a gamble you can't afford when emergency response times are stretched thin due to dangerous weather. Flashlights and LED lights are the clear, safe choice if you value your safety and your home. Start with at least 3 LED flashlights strategically placed in different areas of your home. Don't settle for dollar store junk here. Quality matters. A model like the Coast HP7R will not only give you powerful, consistent light, but it's also rechargeable, which can save you in the long run. Think of these flashlights as investments in your preparedness. When night hits and the storm cuts everything off, you shouldn't be left trying to light your way with something unreliable. Now, about the batteries. Don't grab whatever happens to be on sale. Lithium batteries are your best bet. They last longer, perform better in freezing temperatures, and won't corrode like cheaper options. The key is to store them properly. Cool, dry conditions are non-negotiable. Tossing them into a drawer next to old phone chargers isn't cutting it. Speaking of maintenance, don't neglect it. So, you're using Mangle Bay, ain't you? Batteries don't last forever, and you don't want to learn that the hard way when you're already sitting in pitch darkness. Replace the batteries every January like clockwork and test the flashlights while you're at it. This simple yearly routine can mean the difference between staying calm and scrambling for solutions in the middle of a crisis. Bottom line, not having decent flashlights and LED lights during an ice storm is reckless. They're inexpensive, effective, and potentially life-saving. Don't be the person who wishes they'd been better prepared. Stock up before the next storm leaves you powerless. 11. First aid kit. You'd be foolish to face an ice storm without a fully stocked first aid kit. Slippery conditions mean injuries are almost inevitable. Anything from slips and falls on icy surfaces to frostbite from prolonged exposure. A properly prepared first aid kit isn't some optional luxury. It's your frontline defense against freezing, pain, and avoidable medical emergencies. Here's what it must include. Start with thermal blankets and heat packs. These can save your life or someone else's by staving off hypothermia when temperatures plummet. You'll need a mix of body-sized heat packs and ones for extremities like fingers and toes, because frostbite doesn't discriminate. Don't overlook chemical cold packs either. They're essential for treating bruises or sprains. Injuries you're pretty much guaranteed to deal with while navigating icy terrain. Medications like pain relievers and antihistamines should also be included, but don't just toss them in and forget about them. Rotate these regularly and check the expiration dates every 3 months like clockwork. Expired meds won't help when you're desperate. Want to ensure your kit holds up in the worst-case scenario? Go the extra mile and include military-grade blankets. These are designed to withstand the most extreme cold conditions, and they're compact enough to easily fit into your kit without taking up too much room. Trust us, when the temperature drops to a bone-chilling level and you're trying to ward off the cold, you'll be grateful for military-grade gear over those flimsy dollar store alternatives. You'll regret it big time if you neglect this crucial item. An ice storm doesn't care if you're unprepared. It will test you at every turn, and a solid first aid kit might be the difference between mild discomfort and a full-blown medical crisis. Restock your kit, check your supplies, and don't cut corners. Your safety and survival depend on it. 12. Non-perishable food. When an ice storm hits, power outages can last for days, and you'll be cut off from grocery stores or your beloved microwave. Forget fresh food. Without electricity, your fridge and freezer turn useless fast. That's where non-perishable food steps in to literally save your life. This isn't about fancy meals. It's about survival. Stockpile high-protein, ready-to-eat foods that keep well and give you the energy to power through tough conditions. Options like canned tuna, peanut butter, and jerky are key. They pack a punch in nutrients and calories, are shelf-stable, and best of all, require zero prep work. Here's the deal. You'll want enough food to meet at least an emergency calorie goal of 2,000 calories per day per person. Yes, that number sounds hefty, but staying warm in freezing conditions burns more energy than you think. Plus, struggling through the aftermath of a storm without adequate nutrition, a sure way to end up fatigued, frustrated, or worse. Storage is critical if you don't want your survival stash to backfire. Store your non-perishables in airtight containers to keep pests and moisture out. A cool, dry location is ideal to extend shelf life. You don't want to find moldy cans or stale snacks when disaster strikes. Add a reminder to check expiration dates every 3 months and rotate your stock to ensure nothing goes to waste. And don't forget a manual can opener. Unless you've mastered the art of opening cans with brute force. Bottom line, don't underestimate the importance of non-perishable food. When the ice storm snarls travel, cripples power lines, and leaves you stranded in the cold, you'll regret every moment you didn't spend preparing your pantry. A well-stocked supply could mean the difference between a manageable few days and a nightmare you won't forget. Don't wait. Prep now, because once the storm hits, it's too late. Once again. 13. Ice cleats, or traction devices. If you're smart, you'll own a pair of ice cleats or traction devices before the ice storm hits, period. These are non-negotiable if you want to avoid being the person who ends up on their back after a split-second slip on black ice. Falls on icy driveways and sidewalks are not only painful but can be outright dangerous. Studies show that using proper ice cleats can reduce your fall risk by a whopping 93%. Why take the chance when a simple tool can keep you upright? There are a couple of types you should know about, so don't just buy any old thing. For light use, like walking the dog or heading to the mailbox, nanospikes or microspikes will do the job. They're small, lightweight, and easy to throw on when you're in a hurry. But if you're dealing with tougher conditions, thick ice, steep inclines, or extended treks, you'll need heavy-duty hybrid cleats. These often combine chains and studs for maximum grip on the worst terrain. Brands like Yak Trax or Catula are worth looking into because they're proven to work, even in extreme conditions. Here's an insider tip you'll regret skipping if the storm catches you off guard. Keep your cleats handy. Put them by your front door, in your car, or anywhere you can grab them at a moment's notice. Ice storms aren't known for warning you, and when the ground starts freezing over, you're not going to have time to dig through storage looking for them. Bottom line, ice cleats are one of the smartest investments for survival during an ice storm. Without them, you're risking unnecessary injuries, possibly even hospital bills, for something that's entirely preventable. Don't ignore this. Prepare now and thank yourself later when you're confidently walking on ice while everyone else struggles to stay upright. 14. Emergency car kit. An emergency car kit is non-negotiable during an ice storm. If you think you're fine without one, you're betting against the odds, and nature doesn't care if you lose. This kit could mean the difference between getting through an emergency safely or facing serious trouble. First and foremost, a lithium-ion jump starter is key. Don't bank on finding a stranger to help jump your car, especially in severe weather when everyone else is trying to survive too. A 1000 peak amp model will handle most vehicles and ensure your battery issues don't leave you frozen in place. Next, keep a 4-season emergency blanket in your kit. Hypothermia can set in faster than you think when stranded in freezing conditions. And good luck toughing it out with sheer willpower. A dedicated phone charger is another lifesaver. Staying connected isn't just convenient, it's critical when emergencies hit. Tools are essential as well. A collapsible shovel can dig you out in case of unexpected snow buildup, while an ice scraper ensures your visibility isn't compromised. If your wheels are spinning uselessly on ice, you'll want traction aids like cat litter or sand. It's a simple fix to get your vehicle moving again, and there's really no excuse for not keeping some in the trunk. Finally, here's advice many drivers foolishly neglect. Keep at least half a tank of gas in your car. If you run out of fuel, you're stranded. Period. No heat, no transportation, no backup plan. Half a tank isn't just a suggestion, it's your lifeline in a storm. Skipping an emergency car kit is reckless, Severe weather doesn't care how tough or prepared you think you are. The reality is, when conditions become dangerous, this kit could save your life, or at least save you from hours of unnecessary misery. Pack it. End of story. 15. Reserve the right to go on vacation day. 15. Productivity and efficiency. When the power goes out during an ice storm, electronic payment systems are one of the first things to fail. Did you know a staggering 82% of payment systems fail during severe storms? That's right, your credit cards, mobile payment apps, or online transfers? Completely useless. If you don't have cash on hand, you're going to find yourself in trouble real fast. Need to grab last-minute supplies or food? Better hope you've stocked up, because stores without working card readers only accept cash. Forget about withdrawing money after the storm hits too. ATMs will likely be offline. Here's the deal, you must have a cash reserve. At least $300 is recommended, and no, not all in $100 bills. Keep small denominations like $5, $10, and $20. Why? Because if a store or individual can't give you change, you're overpaying or walking away empty-handed. This isn't just about convenience, it's about survival. Having cash gives you flexibility when systems fail and everyone else is panicking. Don't shove all your cash into one location either. Store it in 2 accessible places in your home. This way, if you can't get to one stash or somehow lose it, you still have a backup. Think places easy to reach but secure, like a drawer near the front door or in a small safe. The key here isn't overthinking. Just ensure you know exactly where to find the cash when the time comes. Bottom line, don't wait until it's too late. Cash is king when ice storms wreak havoc, and being caught empty-handed is a problem no one wants to face. A simple cash reserve could mean the difference between staying prepared and scrambling in desperation. Take this seriously. It's not a suggestion, it's a necessity.